It's weird. When you're retired, you just don't get a sense of the passage of time. You get to do whatever you want and just sit back and relax with some nice sipping tequila. I'd sure hate to think that a year went by without getting anything done. What did I do this year? Let me see. I remember that the year started with Kathy, Vicky, and Mike on Catalina Island. We did a bunch of diving, some nice drinks, even sang a bit of karaoke. I'm not sure all of us remember the karaoke as well as the others, but yeah, we definitely did that. Then we settled into a normal routine. Every morning, Annie would get her daily walks, and she would always hunt out whatever wildlife was in the canyon. Yeah, she spotted a whole bunch of stuff this year. It was pretty fun to watch. That's right, this year we had those huge rains. I mean, all sorts of the rainfall records were shattered, and the canyon turned into a proving ground for Land Rovers. All sorts of cars were stuck on the side of the road, and you just needed an SUV to get around. It was like wading through a river when you're just driving down the canyon. We also had a nice wine tasting trip up to Paso Robles with Todd, Teresa, George Francis, and the whole gang. Even got together with my favorite former boss, Bill McFarland. Boy, it was great seeing him again. I can't wait to get back up there. What a fun time. Yeah, this winter was tough on diving. We didn't get as many dives in as usual because of all the rains. Pretty much nothing in the winter until April we went to Costa Rica. That's right, when I got there I was punishing Mike and Vicky by taking them on all the thrill rides around the Arenal volcano. I loved them all, but we learned that Vicky wasn't the biggest fan of zip lines or whitewater rafting. I was a bit surprised that she was just a fiend for canyoning. I really didn't see that coming. I didn't think she would think that was the funnest thing we could do there. After all that playing around with the big toy sets around the volcano, it was off to go to Cocos Island. We joined up with Peter, Claudia, and Emily, and the other folks from Ad Helium. That was really great. I admit it took time to get used to the fact that being surrounded by sharks isn't as scary as it sounds. It didn't hurt that there were a lot of other amazing things to see, including one of the most scenic islands in the world. That trip was so much fun, we immediately signed up for another trip next year to Socorro Island. That's going to be a great time. Oh yeah, Kathy and I visited my dad and sister in Kauai for a long weekend. Luckily, we were able to fit in some sightseeing on a helicopter, driving around what they call the Grand Canyon of the Pacific, and even explore the North Shore's rustic beauty. We even took time for a nice zip line tour. We even got to go swimming in some pond that was filled with water and cow manure. That was interesting. I'm not sure I'm going to do that again. I think the big lesson learned on this trip was never go to Kauai in the summer. Boy, was it hot and humid. When summer rolled around here, we got back into diving at home. But the visibility never got that great. Must have been all the rains we were getting. We did take a little more time to explore the islands. It was kind of nice to get on Santa Rosa Island and just kind of wander around and see what it had there. What a beautiful place. In August, Mike, Vicky, and I went up to Canada. We drove all the way up to Vancouver Island. The drive felt longer than it was because all that smoke. Northern California and beyond, all we could see were the local forests around the car, all the way up to Port Hardy. Then we took the boat to God's Pocket Resort. Man, that was a beautiful place. The diving there was kind of interesting. There was a lot of currents. The visibility wasn't great. There was life everywhere, but you had to be right up next to it to see it. We finally did find some good visibility deeper down, but by the time we got that deep, the light couldn't pass through the muck on the surface, and so it was like night diving in the middle of the day. What a neat experience. The big takeaway on this trip was that Mike needs to get an elevator on Anxious. That thing was just brilliant. That's right, the weekend after we got home from Canada, we drove back up to Oregon, very next weekend, to see the total eclipse of the sun. I think we did it just because we could, but boy, that was just fantastic. I think we're all hooked. I think we found another expensive bad habit. We're going to be chasing eclipses all over the world at this point. Let's see what else we do. I had a couple of trips to the Hollywood Bowl. We went with Jim and Sharon to see Seu Jorge. And I didn't realize how much I liked his music. And then we went with Mike and Vicky to see the fireworks show. Our former colleague, Susan Marcus, even gave us a backstage tour of the fireworks setup. As an engineer, I love that. Ulf and his family even visited. He came the week after he won the World Wine Tasting Championships. Boy, he was kind of hard to live with. Thankfully, we gave him enough wine. Being a Swede, he was a bit of a lightweight, so that kind of calmed him down. It was fun to see Anne Marie and Eva, along with meeting Marie's husband, Pio, and Eva's medical school classmates. Mike and Vicky even took them out on a boat, which was fun. That was the best visibility we've had all year. Let's see, we also had a couple of wine dinners with the Paso Wine Gang. Those always turn into interesting affairs, and Vicky even made some artwork out of it. That was an interesting experience. We enjoyed the Parade of Lights at Channel Islands Harbor. It's amazing how people can decorate their boats in so many different ways. It's much fancier than I ever do at home. Makes me feel like a bit of a slacker, but then again, I bet they don't get to drink as much tequila as I do. Let's see, that takes us to here. This is Christmas, and we're about to head out to Catalina Island again to start another trip around the sun. That makes me feel better. I guess I didn't just sit around all day drinking tequila. Well, next year should be fun.